usually try to have a little point to my videos. Sometimes I may take a while to get there. Sometimes it may seem like a weird point to make, but I usually try to make some type of point because you have to kind of tie in a thumbnail picture. You have to kind of tie in your footage to whatever you're saying. So to me, I kind of like to have on my mind what I'm going to say before I even start these videos, but not today. Today I'm just piddling. I'm just piddling. And I just wondered if you would want to see me just piddling around. My potato plants took a good beating today. This one even broke off. You can see there. It completely broke off. What I'm going to do is I just brought a load of wood chips over here. And I'm just going to stack them around that plant. And just stand it straight up. Put wood chips all around it. And just kind of hope they'll brace it and it'll mend. I'm no expert on all this, but I do feel like if I can keep it there and maybe it'll mend itself, maybe it'll just be able to function standing straight up. These potatoes are so close to being able to be ready that I hate to not do anything and just let it blow over and lay on the ground. These plants actually look okay, except for that one that got blown over and snapped. But my other bed, my larger bed that's over by the fence, it really took a beating. This is the bed over here by the fence in the corner of my property. And some of these really got knocked sideways. You can see some of them are just very much laying horizontal to the ground. I'm not worried about them as long as they haven't snapped, and I don't think these have. They just got blown over pretty good. A lot of them. A lot of them all back here. A lot of them. But I'm not that worried about them, and really it's rained. The rain is gone. It's a pretty bad storm system that came through this morning, but it's gone. But if the sun would come out and beam on this all day, a lot of the times plants will stand back up on their own if the sun comes out and beams on them. But it's overcast. The whole rest of this day has been overcast, and I'm not really sure what's on the weather agenda for tomorrow. I'm hoping it'll be sunny. If so, a lot of these will stand up on their own. But there again, I went ahead and brought a load of wood chips in my little wheelbarrow. I really could just turn around and shovel. I guess that's what I need to do from here on out for this pile. But I'm just going to shovel a few wood chips around the base of some of these and kind of stand them back upright a little bit. I'm so close. I'm hoping I have potatoes under here. I sure do have pretty plants. No blooms yet. Haven't seen the first bloom on anything. Last year I had a lot of plants that never bloomed, and I just went ahead and harvested at a certain point, because if I don't, it seems like worms will get in the potatoes and everything and eat on them, and you end up with a bad harvest. This year I'm playing it by ear. Because they're so green and because they're so pretty, I'm assuming they're not ready yet. I haven't seen any sign of dying off of leaves, other than this collapse of them today because of the wind. I haven't seen any evidence of them collapsing or anything. Before today, they were standing straight up and beautiful. So I'm going to assume they're not ready, and we're just going to rock and roll, and I'm going to keep looking for blooms over the next few weeks. I think technically they weren't supposed to be ready until the first week or so of May, and this is only April 15th, so I've still got another half a month before I think these things are ready to harvest. I love my little corn patch, y'all. I just love my little corn patch. I can see it out of my den window and my bedroom window, and I just love the way it looks. Now, I was telling you the other day about putting these pole beans down this side, and I got it done. I got the dirt brought over here. I got the wood chips brought over here to kind of hopefully choke out weeds, and I planted some Tennessee half-runner beans here. Some Tennessee half-runner beans, and I think also their name is volunteer half-runners. I discussed those the other day when I bought them at a little feed and seed near me. So, and I've got my strike bush beans coming up on these rows right here, these little 5 rows that are in the middle of the garden. They're coming up. They're doing okay. Looks like I had pretty good germination. I went ahead yesterday and I planted a bell pepper there and right there. Well, these aren't regular bell peppers. They're called sheep nose pimento peppers, and they make a little red pepper on it. And I grew them last year, and at first I just thought, well, I don't really know what to do with them, pimento peppers. I got overwhelmed at a certain point last year with so many peppers coming in that basically I just chopped them up, put them in bags, put them in my freezer, and didn't really know what to do with them all at first. I was going to get to them later, but got overwhelmed for a while. But later on, when I pulled these sheep-nosed pimento peppers out, I was pleasantly surprised because they were delicious. I was thinking I needed to chop them up somehow or do something with them to make pimento peppers, like to put in pimento cheese. But I didn't. I just threw them into stir fries. I threw them in with whatever I was cooking, and they had the best flavor. So when I started peppers this year, I said I'm going to start those again. I got these seeds from the Seed Savers Exchange. So if you ever run across sheep-nosed pimento peppers, just know that they're good. They taste good if you want to give them a try. And they were really, really prolific. I think I only had 2 or 3 bushes, and they just kept putting off peppers like crazy. You need to kind of let them go until they get very dark. Don't pick them too early. On this side, I did my dirt and my wood chips, and I planted Mountaineer runner beans down this row. They're half runners. So both of these rows, the beans are only supposed to get about 3 to 4 feet tall. And as I said, I did that so that it doesn't shade out my okra and my cucumbers and everything. So hoping that is a good thought process and hoping that works out good. I just kind of brought in extra wood chips too and tied these 2 areas together. This is the long row of my crepe myrtles, and I have wood chips down them. But I kind of just made it to where the mower can just get up in here and make a turn and go down the other row there without having to worry about weeds coming up between the garden and this row of crepe myrtles. Just one more little step I'm trying to take to make gardening easier on me by using these wood chips to choke out weeds, but also to make mowing easier on me and my son. And I don't want to have a lot of weed eating to do. I just don't. I went and bought me a little weed eater today at Home Depot, a little battery operated one that I can use. We have a nicer one, but it's too heavy. I can't use it. And if I can't use a piece of equipment out here on our property, it's just not doing me any good. So I went and bought a little battery operated one that I can handle. But I'm trying to do a lot of things to where I don't even have to use it that much. I don't even want to use a battery operated one that much. If I can throw wood chips around it, or if I can choke out the weeds somehow, I want to do that. I also added little extra wood chips back here to the back of this row, kind of curled them around the potato patch a little bit there again, just so a mower can make a little turn up in there and mow and keep on going. Now, this is what I do every year. It becomes my full-time job around this time of year to worry about whether my Mosby prolific corn is going to come up. It just becomes a full-time job because every year it's slow coming up, and every year I think it's not going to come up, and every year I worry about it and I start thinking I need to replant, and then eventually it comes up and it grows well and it does good, unless a flash drought takes it out at the last minute. But it comes up. But the next year I worry it's not coming up again, and that's where I'm at right now. Will the Mosby prolific corn come up, or will Lainey have to replant? Stay tuned for the next episode of Hilltop Home Place. That's where I'm at right now. Will it or won't it? Black-eyed peas are doing wonderful. They're coming up. Can't complain about those. Good old black-eyed peas. I finished off the second little pole bean bed. This comes off the corner of my house, and it had been there, but I added this one the other day. I put the dirt, put the wood chips, and then I watched my dogs run through it like crazy, but because of course I put it right where their little path was to come around the house. And so yesterday evening I got out here and went ahead and put string on it, even though I don't really have any beans up yet. They're coming up though, because I went to kind of fix some of the divots where the dogs had stepped, and I saw the beans coming up. So they'll be coming up. I'm thinking I see one right now. I do. Okay. There's one right there. Coming up out of the ground right now. Oop. There's another one. Oh my goodness. There's another one right there. Okay, so I'm excited. I ended up planting the Grandma Nellie's yellow mushroom beans. I have never planted these before. I started to not even order these a few years ago, but I did get them. I haven't planted them yet, so I needed to kind of try them and just see. So I put them in the ground. They grow a yellow snap bean. You can eat it as a snap bean, or you can let it keep on going past its mature stage and harvest some green shell beans. And the beans are kind of, I think, a brownish pink color. But they're supposed to cook up really good as green beans, but they say they do have kind of a little mushroomy taste to them. But that's not bad for somebody that likes mushrooms, so why not? I'm gonna try them and we're gonna see what happens. My cut shorts are coming up and doing good. Those are Hedrick Greasy cut short beans, so they're coming up and doing good. I'm not gonna give a whole garden tour. I'm just kind of piddling though. I'm piddling around. I'm looking. I'm not quite finished on this bed, but yesterday evening I did get out here and plant some bell peppers all down it, and I've got to put the wood chips around it. So instead of having to haul out my sprinkler, that rain came this morning, and so that watered everything in really good, and that's a good thing. I had these cranberry beans planted in here. I've got sugar baby icebox watermelons planted in here, and then some buttercrunch lettuce. It's technically called Merlot lettuce from Johnny Seeds that's planted in here. Now the bell pepper that I chose to plant here, it's got a funny name, but it's called the Ferrer Ozon paprika pepper. This pepper is a Hungarian pepper. It's very, very sweet and very delicious. It goes from a white to a yellow, then to an orangey red. I also got those seeds from Seed Savers. They have a lot of really unusual peppers, and I have found the germination on Seed Savers seeds is wonderful. So if you ever want to just try a couple of packs of whatever from their website, I think their seeds are just wonderful. But I had 9 of these, so I ended up fitting 9 peppers down this garden. I just kind of did them jagged. I think it'll be fine. I think they'll all be able to have enough room to breathe and do their thing. I came over here to this little small bed just a few minutes ago before I did this video, and I went ahead and put the string on these posts too. I didn't put it all the way to the top because these aren't going to be like pole beans. The only thing I'm really worried about is my Jubilee tomatoes. I'm going to be planting a couple more that I started and haven't put out yet. These are, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I've got 4 that actually survived the freeze. And so they're doing really good. I just trimmed them. They might look a little skimpy, but that's because I just trimmed them. But whenever they start growing, I'll kind of clamp them with some little white clips I have to these strings. I may even have to have some bamboo sticks stuck here, there, and yonder. But pretty much last year, it worked good to have the string there and just kind of loop a branch and clamp it, and everything seemed to be fine. Kept everything off the ground. I have a pedigree Durin melon plant growing there, and that's a PL de Sapo. It got hit hard in the freeze, and I thought I lost it, but it's coming back, so that's why it's so far behind this one. This one had a metal pot over it and didn't get affected at all by the freeze. So that's the difference between the two, but they're still alive. The one on the right is still alive. So I think eventually when this weather warms up, it'll do okay. We've had kind of a weird situation here in South Louisiana right now. We got really, really hot. Then we had that crazy freeze show up. And then within 2 days or so of the freeze, of being 28 degrees, it got into the 80s again. So boom, we went into this hot phase again. Everything just bloomed, came out of the ground. All the beans started growing like crazy and all. And then we've kind of went into this mild little pattern of 60 and 70 degree weather. Yesterday was supposed to be in the 80s, but it only topped out at 80 degrees at 4 o'clock that afternoon, when it usually tops out at the high temperature. It only got to 80, not up into the 80s. So it ended up being milder than they thought. And then today, I don't know what it is, but it's down in the lower 70s, I think. I've got an actual little sweatshirt on because to me it was just kind of wet feeling and cold out here. So, but what my point is things are going to just explode when this heat stabilizes. When the heat stabilizes, it's kind of like they say senescence. They talk about senescence with plants. That's kind of like when you plant a plant and it germinates and it comes up out of the ground, but then it just sits there and does nothing. Sometimes okra will do that. If you plant okra too early, it'll do that. And then it'll just wither away and die. Well, these plants, I don't think are going to wither away and die. I'm not worried about that. But they have entered a kind of senescence in some ways to me, because they started growing really good when it got warm. And then now that it's gotten cooler, they've just kind of stopped. They're growing a tad. I can tell it a little bit, but nothing miraculous. Nothing miraculous. They're just kind of hanging in there, waiting on the heat to stabilize, I think. And I don't blame them. I think all the plants this year are confused about what to do. I don't blame them. My shishito peppers are looking pretty good. That one's coming back. I didn't think it would. These two are looking pretty good. I'm hoping to have a lot of shishito peppers. I was going through a catalog a while ago, and it had lots of seeds in it. A lot of them were hybrids, but it was a grower's catalog. I don't have too many catalogs that are true growers catalogs, but this company had sent me a grower's catalog because of my business and everything. And I don't know, next year I might just really dive in to some of these varieties that are just bred to be heavy producers. They're hybrids. I don't mind that though. And it all comes down to saving seeds and stuff. But if you're growing for production and you're not worried about saving seeds, you could still end up with these delicious, beautiful vegetables if you'll just give some hybrids a chance. And I don't mind doing that. Not all of their plants are hybrids. I could order some of their open pollinated and heirloom plants, but they have a lot of hybrids that sounded really good, especially in the peppers and the tomatoes. And I'm just thinking next year, just to kind of differentiate myself from the ordinary, I might pick a vegetable like, say, peppers, and just try to get really, really good at growing them. But I'm still going to grow a lot of different things because I want to. I love growing a lot of variety. Being able to walk out here into this garden and just walk around and look and think and piddle is my medicine. That's my medicine. And I'm not just saying that because that seems to be just what a lot of people say. It's true. It is very true. When I had to be in the house a lot longer than I thought this morning because it started raining right before lunch and it rained till 2 o'clock or so, I almost kind of go down. I don't know how to explain it. I want to go outside. You know, I want to go out at some points, even if I'm not working, even if there's nothing I have to do that's real pressing. I just like to go out and walk. You hear these birds behind me right now? I love to just come out and hear all that. And I feel so at peace on this property. I just feel so at peace. But not to lose my train of thought with the vegetables, I think I might just next year try to become maybe a really good grower of one particular thing, in addition to all the other things that give me so much happiness. Maybe become really, really focused on peppers, really, really focused on different types of cucumbers, and then try to do those popular things that I might find that people think are delicious and they can only get from me and they want to try. Do those things over and over. And then maybe just kind of become known as that lady that has all those different cucumbers, or that lady that has all those different varieties of peppers. It could be more than one vegetable I do that in, but maybe that first year just really delve into a lot of different varieties of one particular vegetable and get some people coming to you just for that. And then the next year roll in maybe lots of varieties of another type, in addition to your tomatoes or whatever you have. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. I thought I'd come sit back here in the back of my property for just a minute. There's an event going on near me today, and so there's a lot of traffic out on our road with big trucks and things like that. It's a big event that's just kind of happening, so a lot of traffic, a lot of noise. So I think that's why I'm piddling today, because I'm starting, on the one hand, I'm very relaxed. It's like I just kind of want to walk and look. I'm doing a little string on my T-post. That's very relaxing, but other than putting the wood chips around my potato plants, I'm not doing anything really strenuous today. It's just kind of a relaxing day. I feel kind of quiet in my soul, so I'm just kind of walking around. But on the other hand, I'm feeling very good the last few days because it's finally hit me that I kind of feel this cloud lifting off of me. You don't know you have a cloud sometimes until it lifts. And then when it lifts and it kind of drifts away, you realize that you were kind of living and existing under that cloud and you didn't really know it. You're doing your normal things, you're cooking, you're eating, you're shopping, you're doing your gardening, you're doing whatever. But you don't really realize that you're doing it with, sometimes I call it bricks on my back, but it's really like a cloud that's over you. But I feel like I can finally say that cloud feels like it's lifting. It may only be temporarily lifting because some things aren't completely resolved yet, but I feel like it is lifting. And it's making me feel in my mind kind of refreshed, like I'm ready to think again, like like I haven't been able to think clearly of the future in a long time, but I am now. And that's a weird thing to say because if you've watched my videos, it seems like all I've done this last year is think and think and think about the future. That's why we sold our house. That's why we bought this property. That's why I had to get all the things set up to set this trailer up. That's true. I have been thinking about the future as far as doing all of that. And I accomplished all that because I was thinking about the future. So yes, I was doing a lot of thinking and I documented that as I went. But this is different. I think while I was doing all of that thinking about those big things like our long-term financial stability, our housing, trying to get debt-free and all that stuff, those are all important. But the issues that I'm talking about today were actually on me even during all of that. Just getting through taxes this year, just paying the taxes. As I said, I kind of had the money set aside to do it, but I just, it looms. You know that tax season is coming around and it looms. So, and then you have the preparation time of getting all your documentation together and running the numbers and doing things like that and just waiting on things to come in the mail. I would have done the taxes last year, but you can't because you have to wait on the things that come in the mail to verify the end of the year totals and all that stuff. So, and that doesn't all come at the same time. They have until the end of January to mail things. And I swear, I think some people don't mail it till February because it kind of drags in. So I waited, got through that, and then finally got the tax return done and paid and all. So it was like something lifted off of me after getting all that done, because even though we had to pay, it still was done. And it's not something I'm gonna have to worry about so much this year. That was just special circumstances last year. But now that weight's kind of off. And the other issue that's been weighing on my shoulders is the review that the long-term disability company is doing on my husband to see if he is really permanently disabled and if he should be put on permanent status. And so that financially, if that review did not go our way, would affect us greatly because it's about 2/5 of our income and it would stop. And by the policy and all, he should get that money until he's 67. The stress on me has been, though, because anytime you're dealing with a big corporation, you're dealing with people who don't know you, who don't know everything about your life, who look at everything just on paper, and then they make these decisions that affect the rest of your life without really fully knowing everything. And you think, well, they have all your doctor's records and things like that. But that's the process I've been going through, is the fact that they keep requesting different things and acting like they can't get it from the doctors and the hospitals, and that if we don't help them get it, then they're going to cancel everything. So I'm like, oh, no, I will work very hard. So I have spent weeks and weeks, and people can attest to this. And my husband and I visited every doctor's office and every hospital that he had been to, except for down in New Orleans. And then I had to go through a process of getting that information from New Orleans. It didn't do us any good to go to New Orleans to try to get it from that hospital, because they said they would only print up to 40 pages if you presented yourself in person. And his records were a lot more than 40 pages. So you have to go through their process for them to print it and mail it to you. So I did that. But in the meantime, his long-term disability company had set this arbitrary date of April 14th, which I didn't even know about till the end of March, about March 20th or so, that by April 14th, they wanted all kind of information or they would stop reviewing his claim. And so that's why I was busting it to get all that information put together. And I got it done, much to their chagrin, I imagine. But I got everything that is available on him. And I packaged it all up, organized it into folders, put wrapping around those folders so none of the papers would get jostled around, labeled everything, cover letter, all kind of stuff. Just, it's probably horrifying to them when they open it up, because I just really got everything to a T with all of Richard's records. There is nothing they can tell me now that they don't have, because I got it and I sent it to them. And so I mailed that though Monday. Their deadline was Friday. The Postal Service said with all the way we mailed it and with the tracking and everything that they would get it by Thursday and have to sign for it and everything. So I'll be able to tell for sure that they got it, and I'm sure they did. The process isn't over. They still are going to be reviewing, I guess, for a little bit and then let us know something. But the cloud is lifted off of me because I've done the best I can do. I feel I'm Richard's advocate, because with the aphasia and with the cognitive issues that he has, he cannot deal with any of this. So even though I'm his wife, I'm also his advocate, because I have to do it for him, and I have to do it well, or it's going to affect his life. And he deserves this. His company paid into this for years and years and years. He worked for his company almost 30 years. So I'm allowing this cloud to lift off of me right now, even though I don't know the exact ruling on it. And if it doesn't go our way, I'll have to get some legal advice. But that's what I'm saying. That cloud has been over us for a while, because even though they all of a sudden set a date of April 14th, in our original paperwork when he got on long-term disability, I knew they were going to do some type of review during the summer of 2023. It just came a little quicker than I thought. So that cloud has been there. And I think we all kind of have those clouds. We all kind of have those clouds that we don't maybe consciously think about every minute of every day, but they're there. And we don't realize that we are existing every day under those clouds sometimes. Just think about it. If you're working and they do an annual review, say every October, well, it might be November of the year before, and that your review might not be for another 11, 12 months, but you know it's coming. So it seems like maybe the whole year as you're working, you kind of work under this review period, and you realize that everything you're doing is going to eventually show up in your review. So it causes kind of stress, even though you should be able to just go to your job every day and work and do the best you can do. When you know there's a review going on, and you know that your boss could be making notes, and your supervisors and anybody else that has any input into your employment can be making notes on you, it can make you nervous. So it's kind of like you work under a cloud all year long, even though it's months and months away. And that's kind of how I've been existing this last year, or a couple of years actually, with the long-term disability. It's just under these clouds. But while life's not perfect, and while something could happen tomorrow, because it does sometimes, at least those couple of clouds have kind of lifted right now. And I feel like that I can think a little bit more again. I think that I was stopping myself from thinking long term, especially about my business of selling vegetables or doing whatever I want to do with my little business. I think I was feeling guilty about giving too much attention to that, because I knew I should be collecting documents, and I knew I should be organizing things, and I knew I should be making sure that all this paperwork I had kept the last few years on Richard and on for tax reasons this last year and everything, I knew that I should be getting that stuff organized. And it was more important than worrying about what kind of tomatoes I might pick out to sell next year. And it's funny, some people can do 10 things at once. Super women, super men, they can do 10 things at once and get it all done. I kind of find that I compartmentalize myself sometimes And I tell myself, in order to keep the important things on track, I do have to tell myself to let certain things go. I'm not always right to do that. Maybe I should be able to juggle a lot of different things at once, but I just find that I can't. My biggest priority was getting our house situation taken care of, getting set up on this property, getting it livable, getting it comfortable, and starting my flower beds and all, because if I didn't do all that, then I wouldn't have anywhere to plant anything this spring, and I didn't want to lose a whole year. But to actually sit there and think of long-term plans for my gardens and for my growing and for potential income in the coming years, no, I have not done a whole lot of that. But I'm starting to. And something led me to my big basket where I keep all my seed catalogs, and something led me to that particular catalog over the last few days. And I've just flipped through it, and I keep looking at the cover of it where it says, this is the catalog for commercial growers, the price list for commercial growers. And I just keep saying, okay, you had forgotten yourself there for a while. You had forgotten yourself. And that's okay. I'm not top priority all the time. I had forgotten myself and my own dreams there for a little while. And it's still going to be tough to ever put myself in any kind of a position where I'm thinking of myself the most, because and my job the most, because just the structure of my life, I'm not the top priority. However, I can make myself the top priority for the time that I have to make myself the top priority, and I can find things that give me joy and give me hope, and that I love spending my time thinking about and doing, so that I'm a good, happy person for the other parts of my life where I'm not the top priority, but I need to have a smile on my face, and I need to be in a good mood, and I need to be a good spouse, and a good organizer, and a good manager of our household, and of our books, and of our budget, and of our food, and of our taxes, and of dealing with corporations and people who don't know us, but who might affect our life, and being a good advocate. And I think that if I can merge those two parts of my life, the part where I really love to think about what to grow, how to expand, I think if I can merge those two parts of my life to my more practical, my imaginative part to the practical part, I'm just going to be a better whole person than I could have been if I completely focus one direction or the other. So how's that for piddling? See, when I piddle, I'm thinking. My wheels are always turning, I'm always thinking. But I'm feeling better piddling today, and I'm feeling better thinking, because I do feel like these clouds are lifting off of me one by one, just one by one. But having these clouds kind of lift off of me can make me a better person to help other people deal with things going on in their life, because I know, even with people I know, they're having tough times going through things that are a lot worse than taxes, and a lot worse than disability claims, and so I can be a better person if my brain is kind of freer to be able to help others. So that's my thoughts for today. I'm going to show you real quick my Mexico midget tomatoes and my Matt's wild cherry tomatoes, and just show you how much they're growing over here. I don't prune these because they're cherry tomatoes, so they're just taking off. I need to do a little weeding, just ignore that. Look at the Matt's wild cherry tomatoes. Look at there. Got blooms all over them. It's another Matt's wild cherry. They love this spot along the side of my trailer. That's my two Iroquois melon cantaloupes, muskmelons actually. The muskmelons, they're doing great. And here is my big row of Mexico midget tomatoes. Cannot wait for these to get, they'll get huge. They'll kind of be coming out into this aisle. They'll get huge. They sprawl everywhere. It takes a lot of string and sticks to keep them together. But man, they produce. Got a lot to be showing y'all in the coming weeks. This is Lainey from Hilltop Home Place. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.